So I'm here at the largest freshwater aquarium in the United States, the Tennessee Aquarium in Chattanooga, Tennessee. This is my first stop on my touring road trip, and this is kind of a birthday trip for myself and my son here. This is James. James and I both have a birthday that are 2 days apart, and so we decided to take a little road trip and visit some aquariums, and we got some fun stuff to do. This is going to be the first of a few videos. You want to say hi, or you want to just stand there?
Hi.
So we're starting here at the Tennessee Aquarium, and I'm super excited to see this place. We have an early morning tour of this amazing facility. I've never been here before, so I'm super excited. I don't know if I'm going to actually be able to film much. I may just end up doing some voiceovers later, but it's going to be an awesome experience, and I'm excited to share it all with you. So let's go. Beginning of this visit included a private tour of both facilities. We didn't see everything on the private tour, but we did see some amazing behind the scenes parts of the aquarium. For the first part, I'm going to show you parts of the behind the scenes footage mixed with audio from the tour, as well as some voiceover to tell you what's going on. I'll have a few interesting stories and tidbits that you'll hear from our awesome tour guide, whose name is Chris. Once the tour was over, everyone else showed up for the day, and we went back through and saw the rest of the exhibits. I had over 5 hours of footage from everything. I tried my best to give you the highlights and organize it in a way that you can watch the whole video and see some of the amazing exhibits. But for the rest, you'll need to head to Chattanooga, Tennessee. At the beginning of the tour, we walked into the Madagascar exhibit, and it was quite clear the lemurs did not enjoy us being there so early in the morning. So the first thing you'll hear is them screaming at us. It was both hilarious and slightly alarming to hear. That's enough of that noise. It was super loud and super crazy. There were 2 different kinds of lemurs here. There were red ruffed lemurs and ring-tailed lemurs. Right below the lemurs, despite the fact that this is a Madagascar exhibit, this is kind of like an Amazonian river. I mean, not really, just the fish. There were black diamond stingrays in here, an arowana. There were geophagus tapajos that I saw, which were pretty cool. There were some tetras that I couldn't figure out what they were. I saw one pleco, couldn't figure out exactly what it was, and a few other Amazonian fish, some angelfish. But it was pretty cool to see this little river here, despite the fact that it wasn't perfectly Amazonian, and despite the fact that it was in a Madagascar exhibit, but still really cool to see. To understand this next part, you have to know that there was a stingray touch exhibit around the corner, and that explains the funny story that Chris is about to tell. I didn't actually see that exhibit until later in the day, but I really liked this story, so I wanted to keep it in.
I saw the box that says t-shirts for kids that fell in the Ray exhibit.
It happens a lot, especially with field trips.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. The first time I was here and I had a kid fall in, I had only been working here for a little while. I actually laughed at him and I was like, oh wait, that's my responsibility. I need to help this poor kid. It was really funny. His mom was just absolutely losing it. She thought it was the funniest thing she'd ever seen. This kid. Something kind of cool is we're going to take a look at our largest exhibit in this building right now. So that'll be our secret reef exhibit. So in this elevator, you guys are in the same elevator that all of our sharks in the entire building have been in.
This was the largest exhibit in the entire aquarium with both buildings. It is the secret reef exhibit. It is modeled after a Gulf of Mexico reef preserve. It is 30 feet deep and 618,000 gallons of water. I would have let you listen to Chris talk about it, however, it was very, very noisy in this room. But it's really cool to see the behind the scenes of this aquarium, all the lighting. I didn't get to take a look at the filtration, but I could see a lot of the animals from the top. We talked a lot about the different animals that you'll see here in a few minutes when I show you the views from the viewing windows. What I think was the coolest about this aquarium was that they built this large aquarium and then they built so many different viewing windows down below. I always love to see how these large aquariums build lots of different viewing windows to make an aquarium look even bigger than it actually is. The way that an aquarium, public aquariums, will direct your your flow as you walk through, so that you walk past multiple different viewing windows. So even if it's not large, which of course this was large, it makes it look even bigger. But lots of different kinds of sharks, rays in here, as well as an awesome sea turtle that I really loved. He said the sea turtle was very shy and usually doesn't like to swim in front of the viewing panels. However, getting to go early in the morning, we got to see the sea turtle swim in front of the viewing panels multiple times, which was really cool, and I was really excited to see that. On the same level as you can see the top of the aquarium, they had these tanks that they use for breeding different fish to put them back into the aquarium. They collected the eggs, brought them into these tanks, and then raised them up in order to reintroduce them back into the aquarium. It was pretty cool to see kind of a sustainable effort like that. They also made a lot of their own live foods, as well as plankton and brine shrimp and lots of things like that. These were definitely the largest brine shrimp hatchers I'd ever seen. The black tubs on the right are what are being used to hatch brine shrimp.
Yeah, so these are brine shrimp in here. You guys see those little specks that are moving around in there? So those are what we're raising here to actually feed the fish that we capture out of that exhibit in order to grow them out. Yeah, he's showing off for you guys. I'm glad the lemurs told him that the expectations are high today.
We then headed from the saltwater building over to the freshwater building. The saltwater building didn't have as many exhibits as the freshwater building. The freshwater building had tons of local native fish. There were so many different kinds of aquariums and so many different sizes of local native fish. I didn't see them all the first time we went through, but I saw some amazing exhibits that I wanted to share with you, and I'll share with you some of the other ones later. But for the most part, they focused a lot on native species, especially with local waterways. They also had a sturgeon touch exhibit. Lots of different kinds of touch exhibits in these aquariums, which was really cool to be able to see the sturgeons. They had a sturgeon breeding program that he talked about, where they have been breeding sturgeons and introducing them into the waterways locally, and they actually have had so much success with this that they are about to stop doing this breeding program because they are finding wild-born sturgeons in the waterways now. So it has been a very successful program. So cool to see a program like this that's having success at reintroducing endangered fish. If you like keeping tropical freshwater fish in an aquarium, this is the hallway that you will probably get stuck in for hours. There are tons of different kinds of aquariums here with fish from all over the world. Different kinds of tropical fish, Lake Tanganyika, the Congo, Brazil, and a rainbow fish tank. This was one of my favorite places to be. It was also really cool to get the footage of this hallway because this hallway was really popular later in the day and completely full of people. One of my favorite tanks was this Lake Tanganyikan tank. I have so many different kinds of Lake Tanganyikan fish, and a lot of them that are in this aquarium, with the exception of the really big ones. There were some awesome frontosas in there, some leilupi, some daffodil cichlids, or burchardi, I'm not sure actually which one it was. Lots of different kinds of Lake Tanganyikan fish in this aquarium here. Also, there was a rainbow fish tank that I got stuck in front of for a long time that was just incredible. I love seeing full-grown rainbows, especially large groups of them all together. And got to go behind the scenes on some of the larger aquariums. There were some smaller aquariums back in the back area. I liked the little notes, reading the little notes on the aquariums. There were also some discus. I'm not sure what they're doing with the discus because I didn't see any discus aquariums, but maybe they're just trying to introduce them into one of the South American aquariums. But the absolute showstopper for all of it was this Nicaraguan aquarium. Now, you know most of these fish if you know freshwater tropical fish, and you know that these are some of the most aggressive tropical fish that you can keep, and you can only usually keep one per tank. There are Midas cichlids in here, tons of Parachromis, Nicaraguan cichlids, red devils, lots and lots of different very aggressive Central American fish, and they had hundreds of them all together in one tank. It was so cool to see. This was a massive aquarium. We got to feed them, which was really cool. We got to throw some food in there in the morning to feed them. And then later in the day, I got to go down to the bottom and see the aquarium. They had some breeding going on in the aquarium. It was just absolutely incredible. And I got stuck in front of this aquarium until my son forced me to leave by getting so bored. He looked like he was about to fall asleep. So it was really an amazing aquarium and one of a few that really captured my imagination. Another really impressive aquarium was called the Sunken Amazon Forest. It was right next to the Lake Nicaraguan tank, so we also got to see that one from above. However, we didn't get to feed these guys. It had lots of really cool and really large fish in it. It had some arowana and it had some large pacu. Really cool aquarium, really impressive to see. At the end of the tour, they let us meet one of the ambassador animals, which was this snake. I am racking my brain about what this snake was called, but they talked about it for a while and then let us touch it. We're done with the main tour and now we're going through the whole building to see everything.
We are.
Of course, all the other people showed up, so now we don't have the whole place to ourselves, but still lots of amazing things to see. Another really impressive exhibit to look at in the freshwater building was the River Giants exhibit. It was full of monster fish such as a few arapaima, some huge catfish, a giant gourami. It was really impressive and it had so many different viewing windows, and so we got to see it from so many different angles. Another one of my favorites was this Tennessee River Aquarium. All fish, very local fish, including sturgeon and lots of fish that I'm sure most of us, at least in the United States, have caught in ponds and lakes, such as bluegill and sunfish, but it was really a very interesting exhibit and another very large one with a lot of different viewing angles. Alright, so we just finished the tour and we went through the freshwater side on our own. I had to ask during the tour our tour guide about whether or not this is the largest freshwater aquarium in the United States or North America. He said he wasn't sure, but there's actually one that was built in South America that he thinks is bigger. So there may actually be other freshwater aquariums in the United States that are larger. This one, however, if you are a freshwater aficionado, this one is amazing. You're definitely gonna love it. This entire building over my shoulder is dedicated just to freshwater fish, and it is huge. And it has everything from local fish to cichlids, lots of different things. So I highly recommend checking it out. James and I had a great time in there. We still got to go through the saltwater side, so we're gonna go check that out. You want to say anything, or are you just gonna stay silent?
Well, it was actually pretty fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We had a great time and really enjoyed the tour. Highly recommend doing the tour, but let's go check out the saltwater. You want to go?
Yeah.
Let's go. Heading over from the freshwater building back into the saltwater building, I finally got to see that touch exhibit that I mentioned earlier with the rays, It was really cool, and luckily my son did not need one of those t-shirts for falling in. After that, we went downstairs and saw a lot of really impressive saltwater aquariums. I'm not as big on the saltwater, so I couldn't tell you much about each one of them. There was this one saltwater aquarium that we saw early in the morning when the lights were off, and Chris, our guide, mentioned to come check it out again later and see what it looked like. And it really was impressive to watch all the corals just transform from night until day, literally. It was so cool, and I absolutely loved that one. Wow, those are our two incredible aquariums, the saltwater and the freshwater. I've never been to Chattanooga before, at least not to the downtown section, but there is a ton of stuff to do here, not just the aquarium. So if you haven't ever visited this city, I'd highly recommend it. I'm a little jealous. I'm only about 5 hours away, and my city doesn't have half the stuff they have to do here, but that was a blast. Highly recommend checking out the Tennessee Aquarium if you ever get a chance to come to Chattanooga, Tennessee. Some incredible aquariums, especially for freshwater fish keepers. Very rare that you get an entire building dedicated to only freshwater. We had a lot of fun. James, you want to say bye? Did you have a lot of fun?
Yeah, it was so much fun.
Lots of fun. We had a lot.
5 stars.
5 stars. Yeah, exactly. But I hope you all enjoyed watching all that, and we'll see you in the next one. Fish List out.